Good evening, YouTube. This is Ashman72. I have a couple things I'd like to talk about tonight. Firstly, my channel has recently passed the 50 subscriber landmark, so I would like to take a moment to thank all of my new subscribers for finding me worthy. I would also like to thank all of my subscribers, new and old, for taking the time out of their days to listen to my semi-pointless ramblings. I very much appreciate that you've chosen me to subscribe to, and my YouTube experience would be much different, and I think much less, if you weren't here, so thank you. And secondly, for the bulk of this video, SardonicSkeptic has posted a series of 20 questions he's asking of his subscribers, link in the sidebar, and I'd like to answer him via video response. Are you ready? Here we go. Question 1. The United States is a superpower, and a superpower in the global context is nothing more than another word for empire. I neither like nor trust empires. That being said, I would prefer that the United States' power and influence remain as is for the time being. Better the devil you know. That's how I look at it. Question 2. The UN could be a force for good, but over the course of its history, it has become increasingly hamstrung to the point where it's just there. And it would have to start exercising some of the power that it theoretically has before I change my mind about that. Question 3. Yes. Question 4. Hatred is inherently amoral, like all emotions are, in my opinion. The emotion itself is neither good nor evil, but the actions that it can inspire are. For example, hatred of people has led to institutionalized racism, whereas hatred of injustice can be found in the heart of pretty much every civil rights movement. So there you go. Question 5. While I have had biased teachers, the Canadian educational system itself is unbiased based on what I've seen of it, and I have been in it up to the post-secondary level, so I think I've seen a fair amount of it. Your mileage may vary, of course. Question 6. No, I don't. Question 7. They should be watched, just like anybody who calls for violence should be watched. I don't see how religion should factor into it either way. Question 8. The two are inextricably intertwined, in my opinion. You can't distribute wealth if it hasn't been created, and there's no point to creating wealth if you're not going to distribute it in some way. Question 9. I don't think that it's a question of countries having that right, because the fact is that every country does so, and to be perfectly honest, I can't see why. Question 10. I think the government is more critical to a nation's success. Governments don't always reflect the cultures from which they come, because if the leaders of a certain party have a certain level of political savvy, they can get voted in anyway. Question 12. Question 11. Don't want to get ahead of myself. For most things, it should be unthinkable, but there are exceptions to that, so I'll have to answer yes. Take threats, for example. If someone threatened me or mine, and I believe the threat, then yes, I can see how violence would be justified. Now, question 12. I would not support assassination because I don't hold with vigilantism. Prosecution is an entirely different matter, though. Question 13. If the government were hijacked by would-be tyrants, I would feel compelled to oppose it by any means necessary. Question 14. My concerns about that are entirely pragmatic. It depends on whether or not the foreign power would leave in a timely fashion after the invasion was done, and what they would want in return for their aid. The people of a country can remove a homegrown despot, but an occupying power, backed by worldwide support, presumably, that has already proven that it can defeat your military, and that has already, most likely, declawed said military, is a lot fucking harder to get rid of. Question 15. Absolutely. Rape is sex without consent, and there are many ways for a person to have sex without the other party giving consent. Question 16. Absolutely not. I value truth too highly. Question 17. Yes. Question 18. While I have no moral opposition to suicide, I can't really think of a situation in which a person should commit it. I can understand why a person in a given situation might decide to commit suicide, but I can also understand why a different person in that same situation would not. Question 19. That depends entirely upon knowledge, in my opinion. Let me explain. If, for example, I decide to get hammered, I should be held accountable for what I do while I'm hammered. But on the other hand, if I am given spiked drinks without my knowledge and I get hammered, I don't think that I should be held accountable because I did not make an informed choice. Question 20. To be perfectly honest, I can't. I mean, sure, there's always a possibility of the stopped clock being right twice a day situation going on, but there's nobody who really comes to mind for that question. Okay, there are my answers. I hope you find them worth listening to at least. Anyway, thank you very much for your time. Have a good night.